6 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Hassan Gilani. First, the headlines. Prime Minister and China's Premier have expressed commitment to set CPEC projects at centrality in bilateral relations in diverse sectors. Prime Minister says Islamic Development Bank's beneficial partnership with Pakistan will go a long way in helping the flood-hit people of the country. Foreign Minister has urged major powers not to make the war on terrorism controversial and a victim of their geopolitics. Defense Minister has taken a strong exception to the mention of Pakistan in a joint statement issued after a meeting between US President and Indian Prime Minister. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, occupation forces in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 4 youth in Kupwara district today. The UN High Commissioner on Human Rights has urged Israel to end violence in the occupied West Bank immediately. And now the news in detail. Pakistan and China have agreed on centrality of China-Pakistan economic corridor projects for socio-economic uplift in Pakistan. This consensus was reached during a meeting between Prime Minister Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif and China's Premier Li Qiang on the sidelines of the summit for new global financial pact in Paris. During the meeting, they also agreed to continue the momentum of high-level exchanges between the two countries. They also expressed firm commitment to continue working together for realizing shared objectives. In his remarks, Premier Li said that Pakistan-China friendship is unique and has withstood the vicissitude of time due to deep fraternal ties between peoples of the two countries. Prime Minister Mohammad Shehbaz Sharif says the Islamic Development Bank's beneficial partnership with Pakistan will go a long way in helping the flood-hit people of the country. During a meeting with the president of the bank, Dr. Mohammad Al Jasser, on the sidelines of new Global Financial Pact Summit in Paris, he said the institution's support will support sustainable development objectives of the government. The Prime Minister said IDB President took stock of the progress on various ongoing projects and exchanged views on new avenues of collaboration. The Prime Minister thanked Dr. Al Jasser on behalf of the government and people of Pakistan for bank's participation in International Conference on Climate Resilient Pakistan held in Geneva on January 9 this year. Earlier, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif met President of European Union Commission Ursula von der Leyen and conveyed Pakistan's commitment to continue working in close collaboration with the European institutions for reconstruction in the flood-affected areas. Recalling the importance of GSP+, the Prime Minister noted with satisfaction that it was on track and there was strong political commitment in that regard. The EU Commission President lauded Pakistan's efforts to recover from 2022 floods and assured continued support. She appreciated the level of ongoing cooperation between EU and Pakistan, including GSP+. New Global Financial Pact Summit seeking to overhaul the international financial system and proposing steps towards easing the debt burden of developing nations concluded at Paris today. Host country France pitched the conference as a consensus-building exercise. The summit comes amid growing recognition of the scale of financial challenges ahead, with warnings that the world's ability to curb global warming is reliant on a massive increase in clean energy investment in developing countries. President Dr. Arif Alvi has called for further promotion of trade and economic cooperation with the Republic of Korea and Sri Lanka to further cement bilateral ties. He expressed these views while talking to the outgoing ambassador of Republic of Korea, Su Sengpayo, and the outgoing High Commissioner of Sri Lanka, Mohan Vijaykrama, who made several calls on him in Islamabad today. Talking to the outgoing ambassador of the Republic of Korea, the president highlighted that Pakistan is open for business and investment for all its friends and partners and would specially welcome Korean investment in various sectors. Talking to the outgoing High Commissioner of Sri Lanka, the president said Pakistan wants to further expand economic cooperation and trade relations with Sri Lanka under Pak-Sri Lanka Free Trade Agreement. This is Radio Pakistan. Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has urged major powers not to make the war on terrorism controversial and a victim of their geopolitics. Speaking in the National Assembly today on the joint statement issued after a meeting between US President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he said the international community should take this menace seriously, as it is only through collective efforts that the scourge can be eliminated from the face of earth. He regretted that the focus of the world has shifted from terrorism to Ukraine conflict. The foreign minister said Pakistan is the biggest victim of terrorism and we have suffered more casualties than any other country of the world. He said it is in the interest of Pakistan to eliminate terrorism and extremism for peace, stability and prosperity of its own people. Regarding trials of civilians in military courts, the foreign minister said those involved in attacking the military installations and the memorials of martyrs do not deserve any leniency. Later, the House was adjourned to meet tomorrow at 11 in the morning. Defense Minister Khaja Muhammad Asif has taken a strong exception to the mention of Pakistan in a joint statement issued after a meeting between US President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Speaking in the National Assembly today, he recalled that it was Narendra Modi who oversaw the killings of thousands of Muslims in Gujarat during his tenure as Chief Minister, and in recognition of those atrocities, the US at that time had imposed a ban on issuing a visa to Modi. The Defense Minister said Indian Prime Minister continues to target minorities, especially the Muslims, and there is an undeclared curfew in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. He said the Indian government is perpetrating state terrorism in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Turning to the relations with the United States, Khaja Asif said Pakistan today is paying a heavy price for serving as a frontline state in 2 Afghan wars. Pakistan's ambassador to the United States, Masood Khan, says Georgia-Sindh Sister State Province Agreement has opened up vistas of opportunities for cementing business and investment ties. He expressed these views while addressing a ceremony organized by a renowned think tank of Georgia, Global Atlanta, held in Atlanta. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indian troops in their fresh act of state terrorism martyred 4 Kashmiri youth in Kupwara district today. According to Kashmir Media Service, the troops martyred the youth during a cordon and search operation in Machil area. Meanwhile, a report released by research section of Kashmir Media Service on the occasion of International Widows' Day today said the Kashmiri women continue to suffer at the hands of Indian troops, police and dreaded agencies in occupied territory. It pointed out that the unabated Indian state terrorism rendered 22,960 women widowed since January 1989 as their husbands were martyred by Indian troops. The report said around 2,500 women have been forced to live as half-widows during the last 34 years, a term used for those women whose husbands are subjected to disappearance in the custody. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, has urged Israel to end violence in the occupied West Bank immediately. In a written statement, he said Israel must urgently reset its policies and actions in occupied West Bank in line with the international human rights standards. He warned that this week's violence in the occupied West Bank risks spiraling out of control, fueled by strident political rhetoric and an escalation in the use of advanced military weaponry by Israel. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for a debt relief mechanism that supports payment suspensions, longer lending terms, and lower rates to make borrowing more affordable for poorer nations. Speaking at the Paris Finance Summit, he said developing countries are buckling under high debt and exorbitant borrowing costs that prevent them from reviving their economies. Finally, the weather. Very hot and humid weather is expected in most parts of the country, while dust-raising gusty winds are likely over plain areas during the next 12 hours. Dust thunderstorm with rain is expected in East Balochistan, Kashmir, and adjoining areas. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.